Welcome back to the channel and to another WNBA video. We got a 4-game slate to dive into for Friday, August 23rd. So we're going to break down and analyze each of those games. We'll talk about which way that I'm leaning as far as the points and the spread. We'll also talk about any player props for these games that I found that I like. And then any picks that I put in officially myself, I'm going to list down below in that pinned comment. So make sure you check back in so you can see if you'd like to ride along with me. Before we dive into these games, let's recap our picks from yesterday, what we took, and how that ended up going down. We just had one game on the slate yesterday, the Wings and the Liberty. So we put a 2-leg same game parlay in on that one. Took an alternate total of 175.5. Took the under. Combined that with an alternate spread of the Liberty laying 6.5. That 2-leg parlay equaled out to plus 110 odds, and we do cash. So a 1-0 night. Take it, man. 6-1 in the last 3 days to start off this week. Man, let's start off Friday on the right foot, too. Let's get into this weekend and cash a little bit more. So let's dive into these games without further ado. Well, before we dive into those games, man, see that like button down there? Go ahead and smash that one time for me. And if you have not hit that subscribe button as well, man, go ahead because we got all sorts of content that we are going to keep coming at you guys. Let's get into the picks. The first game of the day, we've got the Phoenix Mercury taking on the Atlanta Dream. Mercury are laying 1.5 in this one with an over-under sitting at 163.5. Another rematch here in the W as these two did just meet on Wednesday in what resulted in the Dream not only covering as 3-point dogs, but they won outright. The Mercury have been on the road for 3 of 4 since returning from the Olympic break. They'll return to Phoenix for a 5-game homestand after this one. So you got to think, man, they probably just want to get home, right? The schedule makers treated Atlanta just a hair better. They are on game 4 of a 5-game homestand coming out of that break. So while both teams come in with equal rest, though, having just played each other, the Mercury are playing their 5th game over 8 days, while the Dream will be on only game 4 in that same time span. Becca Allen and Charisma Osborne are out for Phoenix. The Dream are listing Cheyenne Parker-Tyus and Aerial Powers as out as well. The Dream have now won outright as dogs in 3 straight, beat the Sun, beat the Storm before handling this Mercury team on Wednesday. They were outscored by 13 right through the second and the third quarters combined against Phoenix, but then they outscored Phoenix by 22 in the first and the fourth quarter combined. So they started off the game hot. They finished the game hot. And they come away with the victory here. Atlanta didn't shoot the lights out, just 29% from deep and 34% overall. But like we discussed on Wednesday, they have the defensive edge between these two, and they held Phoenix to just 32% from deep and just 39% overall. So I talked about the rebounding advantage as well that Atlanta carried in over the Mercury, and this proved to be a difference maker here. Atlanta out-rebounded Phoenix 47-33. So, you got to be concerned, right, that there's a letdown on the horizon for Atlanta with 3 straight big wins over teams above them in the standings, but I'm not sure that happens here. Atlanta is, they're in the playoff hunt still, so they got something to play for. They are playing for it, man. They're still bottom of the league, though, in most statistical categories offensively. They have a clear advantage not only on D, but on the glass. And these two things are a recipe for success in basketball. Any hooper knows that, right? So while letdown is a concern, I'm not going to bet against trends or who's hot just because I think someone might be due to lose. So I'm going to lean Atlanta in this one, and I think looking at them early here may be the move. But looking at that total, I can't look any way but under again. Just like Wednesday, if I'm leaning Atlanta and ignoring their offensive struggles, looking at their rebounding and their defensive edge instead, how could I look anywhere but a under? The Mercury have hit over this number 6 of their last 10, but the Dream have landed under this mark in 75 or in 70% of their last 10. Player prop I wouldn't mind looking at is Ka Copper. Her points and rebounds over 27.5. Now look, in her last 10, she has hit this 8 of her last 10 tries, right? Uh, Looking at just the road games, 7 of her last 8 games on the road, she's hit this as well at a 32.2 points plus rebounds a game average. So that's at an 88% hit rate. And Atlanta is just 7th in points allowed and 3rd in rebounds allowed to guards. But if you look at forwards, man, that jumps down to 10th for points allowed and 11th for rebounds allowed. And like I've said here recently a handful of times, there's only 12 teams in the league. So 10th isn't good, man. 11th isn't good. That's second to last. That's third to last. It's not like we're looking at the top 10 here. Here's the thing looking at this, though. She did just hit over this mark against Atlanta, just over it, right on the edge, right there on the line. But I see Kai coming out firing early and often, crashing the glass for more opportunities to score because that's just what she loves to do. But with them coming off this loss as well, I look for her to be aggressive. She's already aggressive to begin with, but she is their best scorer. So I feel like she comes out firing early and often in this one. Now the next game definitely has the potential to be a WNBA Finals match this year. We got the Los Angeles Sparks taking on the Washington Mystics. Now these are two bottom feeders. The Mystics are laying 4.5 in this one, with a over/under sitting at 160.5. The Sparks are going to be on the third game of a 4-game road trip, while the Mystics are on the third and final game of a 3-game homestand. Both teams are riding losing streaks into this one that date back before the break. They both have dropped 5 in a row and both sit at 6-22 on the year, tied for last. They've met twice this year, with both played in LA. The Sparks won the first battle in late May by 2, while the Mystics took the second in late July, also by 2. Ari McDonald and Laisha Clarendon are both listed as game time decisions for the Sparks, and Carly Samuelson will be out for Washington for the second straight game with her hyperextended knee. Shakira Austin of the Mystics will be a game time decision, listed as probable, but she has been in the previous 3 contests as well. She laced them up for each of those, so I think we can expect to see her in this one as well. Obviously, both teams haven't had much to get excited about on the year. The Mystics are third to last regarding net rating. The Sparks are second to last. Sparks are giving up the third most points, allowing opponents to shoot at the second highest percentage from the field and the highest percentage from deep. And that's not good in this one. The Mystics, with all their troubles, have actually been, on the year, a very good 3-point shooting team. They're hitting the third most at the second highest shooting percentage. The Mystics, though, they give up the third most turnovers, but the Sparks are forcing the fourth fewest turnovers and then the third fewest points off of turnovers. Washington has only been favorites once on the year so far, and they did hit, but it was just as a 1-point favorite over Dallas. In lines as dogs of 5 or less, the Sparks are just 2-9. So I'll lean Washington, but I'll stay away from this full game and look early instead. I don't want to lay 5 points with the Mystics team that has only been favored one time on the year so far. Washington has fared better on the year in the first half as well, so I'll definitely look there first. And then for the total, I'm going to look over here. Both these teams have hit over this number in 7 of their last 10, and LA is 10th in points given up per game, while the Mystics are just 8th. Now, player prop I'm liking, but I didn't get to it in time, guys. It's already starting to move. They actually have this up to 15.5 now, but we can still catch it at 14.5, just a little bit juiced. But Stephanie Dolson's points and rebounds over 14.5. Now, I like it here, man, because on the year we're hitting this at a 52% rate. And then over her last 13 games, she's hit this 11 times for an 85% hit rate and clearing that 14.5 points, man. She's getting 19.5 points actually. So we might want to look at that 15.5 for real. The Sparks are last in terms of points and rebounds per game given up to centers. If we look at this right here, they rank 12th in both of these categories. Stephanie Dolson is a center. And she's a big that can knock down the three as well, and she likes to shoot it from there. So, um, her chances of hitting over 14.5, and maybe, like I said, maybe we do look at this 15.5 at 102 or minus 102 odds. Judging off of this down here, this outlier insight. And guys, like I said, this is outlier down here. If you are not hip to outlier, you have not been on here yet, or you are not with outlier, please check down into that description down below so you can get a link or click into our link anyways, and you will be able to get a free 7-day trial. You can try this thing out, see what you think as well, man. And then, like I said, risk free, a 7-day trial, and you can make your decision at the end of that. It's a great tool to have in your pocket. Then next up, we have the Chicago Sky taking on the Connecticut Sun. Sun are laying 10 in this one with the over-under sitting at 155.5. The Sky are on the road for the third and final game of this road trip. But they do bring in a 2-day rest advantage in over the Sun. Since the return from the break, they have beat the Sparks in come from behind fashion, but then they sandwiched that with blowout losses to the Mercury. The Sun have won 2 of 3 since the return, doing so the same way that they have all year long, playing great, great defense, forcing a ton of turnovers, and then being efficient with the ball themselves on the offensive end. Tiffany Mitchell of Connecticut will be a game time decision for this one. Now, looking at the Sky, they are the best rebounding team in the league and also the best offensive rebounding team. That's obviously been led by Angel Reese. That's no secret at this point in the year to whoever's been paying attention to the W. She leads the league in both categories with 12 boards and 5 offensive boards per game. The Sky get the fourth most second chance points and the most points in the paint. The problem is the Sun give up the second fewest second chance points and the third fewest points in the paint. The Sun ranked fourth in offensive rebounds, second in second chance points themselves, and allowed the fewest offensive boards to their opponents and the fewest rebounds altogether per game. So the Sky's biggest strength offensively also plays into one of the many strengths of Connecticut's defense. So after that trade of Marina Mabrey to the Suns team, the Chicago Sky team have just not looked the same offensively. Just they really haven't looked good. The lack of perimeter shooting has Chicago stagnant on the offensive end. They are just 8 of 42 from deep in the 3 games that they have played since this trade. They weren't great from three before the trade either, but 19% is just horrendous. Chicago can't score. They are third to last in points per game, and no one can score on the Sun as it is. They rank first in points allowed, giving up only 73 a game. Chicago only shoots 42% from the field and 30% from deep. That's 10th and 11th overall, respectively. The Sun give up the fewest field goals and 3-point shots made. So, all things considered, man, I gotta lean Connecticut in this one. And then for the total, I'm gonna look to the under. With the Sky struggling and in the bottom half of the league as far as pace played, and the Sun playing at the slowest pace and the best defense in the W, it's hard to expect any kind of offensive explosion here. Look, I don't like playing unders at this line often. I'll talk about it all the time. Once we hit that 155 and under mark, it's like it's usually just a really big sweat. Um, but it's one I might take a look at. Chicago is hitting under this number at a 50% rate in their last 10, but I expect the Sun to control this game, the tempo, and the pace, and we've seen them hit under this line in 7 of their last 10. And then a player prop for this game that I wouldn't mind looking at would be Camila Cardoso, her points and rebounds under 17.5. We can catch that right now at minus 112 odds. Now, in her last 5 games, she's failed to hit this in 4 of her last 5 attempts versus top 5 defenses for points allowed. She's only averaging about 15.5 points and rebounds per game over those 5. And then if we look at Connecticut for their rebounds, their rebounds defense, man, they rank first. They are giving up the fewest rebounds and the fewest points. Good look here. Then the last game on the slate is going to be the Las Vegas Aces taking on the Minnesota Lynx. The Lynx are laying 2 in this one with the over-under sitting at 168.5. Now, these two met on Wednesday. We got another rematch, guys. Comment rematch down below in the comments, man. And for the second time in a row between these two head to head, the Lynx came away with a double digit victory. They won outright as dogs in Vegas in both of those games. The Aces did beat the Lynx in Minnesota back in late May. Look, though, Minnesota looked far superior on Wednesday, but here's the thing. Can we expect them to shoot 58% from deep again? 59% overall? I don't know. It's not like the Aces didn't shoot the ball. They didn't shoot it poorly in this game themselves, man. 43% from three, 46% overall. Minnesota beat Vegas in almost every statistical category, but with that said, they didn't dominate any category. Looking over the numbers, Vegas is right there with the Lynx almost everywhere you look. But the thing is, looking at just the numbers doesn't always tell the whole story, right? And just the eye test alone showed us how much control of the game Minnesota was in, man. It just didn't really look like at any point that Vegas had a chance to win that game. Um, I want to get behind Vegas here. I really do. I just keep thinking that they're going to figure it out. They're going to get back on track. But at this point, it's like when, man. We're what 3/4 of the way through the season, damn near. Multiple times on the year, I've tried to back them during these ruts that they found themselves in, thinking like, hey, they're gonna wake up. They're gonna be the aces that we've seen. They've won back-to-back titles over the last 2 seasons. But even this late in the season, man, we are seeing the same glaring defensive breakdowns over and over and over again with them, and the rhythm on offense just like really comes and goes. Man, I'm leaning Minnesota again. And then for the total, I don't feel too strongly either way, man. Minnesota can beat you both ways, right? They can win in a slugfest. They can grind it out. And they can also get hot from the perimeter and put up points with the best of them. So either way, how we look at this game, man, they can grind it out if they need to. But if Vegas starts getting hot and wants to run up and down the court, man, Minnesota has that capability as well. So you know, like I said, I'm not feeling too confident either way with this one. I could see it going either way. I feel like a case can be made for both sides. So I'll probably say off of this one myself. But if I had to pick a side, I would think that I would probably lean under. I think. Player prop I like for this game would be Bridget Carlton. Her rebounds over 3.5. We look over here. The Aces, man, they give up the 10th most rebounds per game. But if we look at them against forwards, dead last, man, dead last. Bridget in her last 10, she's hit this at a 70% rate. Then if we look over here, Bridget, Outlier has another insight here. Bridget doesn't have one for us, unfortunately. I wish she had an insight for us if she was going to hit this or not. That'd be really nice. But Outlier has this one for us. Bridget Carlton has exceeded 3.5 rebounds in 4 of her last 5 games at home, averaging 4.6. That's an 80% hit rate over her last 5 games. Hope you guys enjoyed the content, man. If you found it helpful or useful in any kind of way, please do not forget to smash the like button down below and hit subscribe if you have not already. That way you don't miss out on any of this content that we are dropping daily. And we are coming with a lot of content for you guys every single day, man. So hit that subscribe button down there, man. Hit that bell too so you get notified every time we drop a video. Also, man, do not forget about the NFL Survivor Pool. We got the link down below in that description. $10 entry fee, man. You can put up to 5, get in the camera there, 5 5 different entries at $10 each, man. And if we can fill that thing up, man, I think the grand prize is sitting at $2,700, so just under 3 racks. Gotta love it, man. All right, guys, that's gonna do it here. Hope we have a great day. Let's cash a little bit more, man. Let's start this weekend out on the right foot. I'll see you guys on the next video.